Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. We had a lot of conversations yesterday about Collin Sexton. And today, we're going to talk about trade scenarios for Collin Sexton. Would you do it, ladies and gentlemen? Chat's on fire already. Let's get it.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's get this thing started. We got Tony Crow in the building. We got Kev. We got Nate. He went somewhere. We got Steph here in the building. And we're going to break this thing down and talk about some trade scenarios for Colin Sexton. Before we even get to that, I just want to know you guys' opinion really quick. Just your thoughts and your opinion about Colin Sexton and whether or not the Knicks should make a move at all, or if you think he's the guy, or just your thoughts on the whole rumor. And then we'll start to break down some trade scenarios and how a trade could benefit the New York Knicks. Tony, I'm going to start with you. What's popping, bro?
What's good? Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the panel. Sin, Yo Black is time. I love the idea of going after a 22-year-old guy who has proven that he can score in this league. I'm the interesting thing for me is what is it gonna take to get him, and also what is it gonna take in comparison to some of the other potential trade options.
Right.
So those are the things that I will be weighing. But 22, I believe,
22.
average 20 points on a career.
22 years old. Yep.
You can't undervalue that. You know what I mean? That's somebody that can grow with our youth for years to come. So I'm with it.
Okay. All right, Kev.
Yeah, salute to the chat, salute to the panel. It's been a while. Yeah, everything Tony said, I totally agree with. My only question is just his attitude, because we heard so many, we heard a lot of talk about how he wasn't getting along with, with his teammates and everything. That's a concern for me. But other than that, you can't argue his ability. He is a walking bucket. I think he'd be great for us. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I keep hearing about, people keep saying something about his relationship with his teammates, but I haven't heard that. Now, what I heard is that his teammates were upset that he wasn't passing the ball or thought he was playing, dribbling too much and not playing team basketball. But I don't know if that exactly relates to having problems with your teammates. I think those two things are very different. Very different.
Can you explain just a little bit more on that? Just elaborate a little bit more on that.
On how it's different than not getting along with your teammates?
Yeah, what you just said. I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
Because I can be a player that is, maybe I'm shooting too much. But after the game, me and you can still go out and get a beer. And we're cool. And we're close. And we're friends. But you're like, yo, you're shooting too much. So I don't think that your style of basketball play really has much to do with your relationships with your teammates off the court. They may have some problems, some issues with your style of play. I don't think that exactly relates to your relationship. You know what I mean? And your style of play could be because your coach asked you to do certain things, or maybe you just feel like I need to do more for this team because I'm the best scorer.
And can I interject a little bit?
Yeah.
A lot of that, I think I agree. I think it's over. It's exaggerated. I think the media, they'll get a hold of a little conversation or whatever the case and blow it out of proportion. And like Sim said, I think a lot of that falls on the coaching. You know what I mean? Because if he's not doing what the coach wants, then the coach is going to make a executive decision, whether that's pulling him out the game, benching him, or switching his role up. So, a lot of times a player could be mad at the situation, but it's not, they shouldn't be mad at the point guard or whoever the player is. They should be mad at the coach or not agree with the coach. The coach makes those decisions.
Okay. Just two things. Number one, how many years has he been on that team? And two, if anybody knows offhand, how many coach 3 years? Okay. How many coaches has he been in those 3 years?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how many.
Because that could be malpractice too. Like we're always hearing everything. So I agree with you on that. Okay, that's all I got to say.
Yeah. All right. Steph, what do you think?
Yeah, shout out to you, Sim, the chat, the panel. I'm not high on Sexton. Let's put aside the value that is only going to be $8 million or $6 million, whatever it is, because that does change things. I'm not high on Sexton as the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. If you want to play him at a 2 guard, you want to play him off the ball, I have no problem. But this is a guy, yes, he can score. Yes, he can shoot the 3. Yes, he can drive to the basket. I'm not worrying about his defense. If he's playing for Tibbs, his defense is going to be good. But this is a guy, and maybe this will change, but he's not somebody that I see that can play make on a high level or run an offense on a high level. Now, part of it could have been the dysfunction of the Cleveland Cavaliers. It could have been the coaches, but from what I've seen so far, he doesn't come across to me as somebody that can run an NBA offense and somebody that can make and make his teammates better. So yes, the Knicks do need scoring, and he can provide that. If you're telling me you're going to play him at the 2 and you're going to bring in a point guard, I'm fine with that. But if you're telling me he's going to be the starting point guard for the New York Knicks for the foreseeable future, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. He's somebody, he looks to score. You got Randall that's looking to score. You got RJ that's looking to score. I just think in that point guard position, we need a playmaker. Now, let me add this. I don't have a problem with scoring point guards who also play make. Russell Westbrook, John Wall, Dame Lillard, Steph Curry. These guys shoot, they score, but when they see the open man, they have the vision to get it to the open man. So I don't have a problem with scoring point guards. But I don't see just yet, maybe he'll develop it, but I don't see just yet his vision. He's tunnel visioned. People are open. He's going to the basket. He with his speed, he can draw the defense and kick. I don't see that a lot. I see him, going to the basket. Now, it could be because of the coaching staff. He could develop it later on. But for what I see right now, I don't think he can't, in my opinion, run an NBA offense and get everybody involved. That's what I'm seeing right now. Now, he could develop it. Now, but that's not what I'm seeing right now.
Okay, and see, I agree with you, Steph, and that's the reason why I was not high on Colin Sexton. But I'm not opposed to bringing him in. I do believe if you bring in a Colin Sexton, you still need to bring in a facilitator and a floor general, because I don't think he's that. So I point to the Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell. You got Mike Conley next to him. Right? Mike Conley is the floor general and the facilitator. Donovan Mitchell is the scorer of those 2 guards. And I do believe you need to have a guard who can do those things with Colin Sexton if you bring Colin Sexton in, because I think he's a scorer. And that's what he does well, right?
And we need scoring.
And plus, he's 22 years old. He has time to develop some of those leadership abilities. right? And at $6 million, and I know you wanted to take the value out of it, so I won't even go there. We'll talk about that later. But he's
Well,
22
what
years
that
old.
changes
It
things.
changes
Six
things.
million, six million.
It
I'm like,
changes a
all
lot.
right, see what we could do
See,
for a year.
right,
and
right, exactly. It
let's
changes a lot.
take a look at him for $7 million.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So I agree with that.
Because that changes it just changes
does.
everything.
It changes everything.
Tony, let me get to Nate, and then I'm gonna come back to you. Go ahead, Nate. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I think he can be that point guard. I mean, the guy's only 22 years old. He's been on crappy teams. I mean, put him on a better team and see what kind of attitude and role they carve out for him. I mean, he averaged 4 assists last year, which isn't bad. I mean, yeah. I mean, when we talk about today's time, the NBA scoring guards, you know, it's about getting your shot. It's about being aggressive. I mean, hell, we haven't had a guard like that in a long time. And Knicks fans are always clamoring that we have a lot of timid players. Well, it doesn't seem like this guy's very timid, and he's shooting a high percentage. So, I mean, really, I feel like there's no risk in taking him. And of course, his contract is very favorable. I think this guy could be exactly what we need. I mean, yeah, he's gonna need some grooming, and yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna be a better playmaker that people give him credit for, because he's gonna be on a better team and he's gonna have better players around him. And I think that's really what's gonna open his eyes. When you're on a crappy team, you're trying to get your own because you know you can do it. Doesn't mean he might not trust his other teammates, which I don't blame him. Look at their rosters. Their roster's horrible. Maybe with outside of Garland. I mean, who else really is a stud on their team or you know, a reliable player? With the Knicks, you've got Barrett, you've got Randall. You don't think he would really embrace playing with those dudes and really being a playmaker for those dudes? I mean,
well,
I'd be shocked if he
I
is,
think
if he
the
doesn't.
To play make.
There
it's
you
not
go.
about whether it's about his ability to play
Right.
make.
I think he can do it. He's 22 years
Does he
old.
have
I
it?
think he can do it.
I mean,
I really
22
do.
years old. I don't think 22 years old has anything to do with whether or not he can do it. You have to
Right.
see, is he a natural playmaker? I think there's a difference between a natural playmaker and you know, someone who is learning and trying.
Do you think Luka's a natural playmaker?
100%.
Luka who?
Veldoza.
I don't know. I haven't seen enough
Seem like
of him
he
yet.
ain't on the team yet. We ain't talking about
But
him.
I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
This guy Luka is going to be the next Frank. I can feel it.
Oh God,
Tony.
No,
Go ahead, Tony.
I know you just said that. You're crazy.
No, when I say the next Frank, I'm talking about the next Frank as far as some people swear by him and some people are like,
okay.
let's wait and see. That's what I mean by
all right.
him being the next
cool,
Frank.
Cool.
Quick hot take, since you mentioned Frank. I think Frank and Sexton on the backcourt together would be phenomenal. But that's a subject for another topic.
Yeah.
or another time.
Yeah. I can't see the chat, so I know the chat's going crazy.
Question for you, Sin, and then a comment I gotta make. The question is, can the facilitation come from a different position? Does it have to come from the point guard? Because I agree, he's not a natural playmaking guard, but I think he can 100% make the right read.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think his lobs once they got Allen, his facilitation got improved. I think he's a good lob passer for one aspect of his facilitating. But I think we can get the facilitation from another position. Randall can do some facilitating.
I agree.
We've seen it. Barrett can do some facilitating. So I think I wouldn't be too concerned with him being the main playmaker. I think we bringing him in for what he does well, and that's
Right.
get buckets.
And I think
Get to the hoop.
you know, you always have to look at defensive matchups, right? And when you talk about other point guards that can be the facilitator while he's a scorer, you know, a lot of them, you're looking at Kyle Lowry, you're looking at Mike Conley, you know, those guys are 6'1", he's the same height as them. So now you're talking about defensively maybe being at a liability because you have a smaller backcourt. That's where I think the Knicks, if they were to bring in Colin Sexton, I think they would really look very, very hard at Lonzo Ball. Because Lonzo is 6'6". He can facilitate. People say, well, he doesn't break down the defense. Well, if you got Colin Sexton, you can let Colin Sexton break down the defense. I'm sure he can break it down and kick it out, right? He may not be the guy that you run your offense through, but I'm positive he can break down the defense and kick it out. He has the speed. He has the ability. He shoots a high percentage from the floor, so he's going to create havoc when he gets inside, and defenses are going to collapse on him. So I'm sure he can penetrate and kick it out. Well, Lonzo Ball can create for other people, right? He can run the offense. He can call the offense. He can get the ball up the floor, and I don't mean dribbling it up. I mean passing the ball up the floor, advancing the ball up the floor in those type of ways. And he's 6'6", so you don't have that same defensive liability. But if you do that, now the Knicks are going and saying, we're happy with a slow build, and I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. But, I'm just saying they do something like that. You bring in Colin Sexton and Lonzo Ball, they're kind of saying, we're cool with going ahead with a slow build.
And then a quick comment, and I'm not talking to you, Queen, but we could put the money in, or we could take the money out. But a lot of us were very, very high and wanted to go after Terry Rozier. So whether you want to talk about the money difference or not, or we could just talk about the games, I'm like, I think they're very comparable. I don't think Rozier is like a playmaking guard. I think if you're looking at those two guys, and some people who wanted Terry Rozier don't necessarily want Sexton, and I think that baffles me, because I think you got a younger guy, a guy with potentially more upside still,
it's better percentage,
still moldability, that you could fit. So my question is
this though.
Yeah.
About that, I still think Rozier has a better feel for the game than Sexton. So you're right. He may not be as great he may not be a great playmaker either, but in my opinion, he has a better feel for the game than Sexton, and he's clutch, and he seems to be able to play within an offense. Sexton might too. He might be able to, but from what
he's also been in the league longer, right?
Yeah.
He seems like just a one-man show to me as far as Sexton is concerned. But again, he's young. I'm not saying he can't develop it, but in terms of comparing the two, I just think Rozier has a better feel, and he's definitely more clutch. But he's had more opportunities to be clutch, right? They've been in more games.
That will come, or time will tell with Sexton, as far as
he's already a better guard than Rozier.
But I think if you're just comparing the two players, that's what I feel. I feel I think Sexton is a better guard than Terry Rozier.
Right now he is.
Yeah. Now, granted, I agree with you though. Rozier does have clutch factor. He has experience.
Yeah.
But if you look comparing the holes, I think they have some of the same glaring holes in their game. So I would just rather take my chance with the younger and cheaper guy.
Let me get to Josh real quick. Get Josh's take real quick. And then we want to get into some of these trade scenarios. Go ahead, Josh.
Salute, guys. Good to see you guys again. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Salute to the chat out there. I had to get on this topic because, Colin Sexton is definitely someone I would definitely appreciate on this team. I just want to make a quick comment on what Queen Steph was saying. Salute. You mentioned that, Colin Sexton, might not be the facilitator that we can use moving forward. And I agree with that. However, I don't think he has to be. Just like what Tone was saying, the NBA is now, you're not going to find too many Chris Pauls out there. I'm not asking him to be Chris Paul, but you're not going to find too many facilitate first point guards. The NBA
you don't have to facilitate first. You could do both, is what I'm saying. And he seems to only be able to do one.
But it's hard to find those too.
Right. And what I'm saying is, I think his ability to score can be able to make his teammates better. His ability to score, get to the lane. can be able to drop 30. I think that right there can get his teammates better and open up some things for the offense. And, you know, we already know he's 22 years old. He's young. There's so much you can build with that at that contract. And the Knicks being able to own his bird rights so they can go over the cap to sign him and sign him with more money. I think this is a no-brainer to bring in Colin Sexton. I think
But
he
Josh,
is
you're bringing in more stuff though, because I agree with you. Once you
Mhm.
throw in the contract, once you throw in that they still gonna have cap space, once you throw in all of those things, I'm with you. But I was just talking about it in a vacuum. I was just talking
Right.
about it in a vacuum. But once you bring in all those other things, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And no question, well, if the Knicks bring in Colin Sexton, just like if they bring in any other player or any other free agent or, you know, player via trade, there's still some pieces that have to get added anyway. So
Right.
I just think, you know, without say if he's not a facilitator, if you don't see him being a facilitator moving forward, I just think that even then the pros definitely outweigh the cons with this move, and the Knicks should make it if they can, if it's on the table.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And you can always trade it. You can always
you
trade
can
it.
always, yeah, you can always trade him because you're going to control his contract, right? So you know you control his contract, which meaning you can offer him an extension, which the deadline to offer that extension is in October. I don't know if they would offer him that extension because they haven't seen him play and how he mixes with the team. So I don't know if they would offer that extension, but you know, his agent might be like, yeah, you know, he's cool with being in New York, but you got to guarantee an extension. I don't know. It's, you know, that's would be up in the air. But if they didn't offer the extension, he's due a qualifying offer this summer, next summer. He's due a qualifying offer. The Knicks can extend that qualifying offer. If he turns it down, then he's a restricted free agent and the Knicks can match any offer, which means if another team wanted to sign him, the Knicks would be able to work out a sign and trade with that team because the Knicks would match the offer and then trade him to that team and still bring back assets, right? So, you know, being able to control that contract goes a long way for the New York Knicks. The only thing I do want to say is, you know, when we're talking about facilitation, and Josh, you said, you know, not many, you know, you're not going to get a lot of Chris Pauls and those guys like that. But what wins championships? That's my question. Having somebody that can facilitate wins championships. You got to have someone. I'm not saying it has to be from the smallest guard on the floor. But somebody on your team has to be able to control that offense and be the facilitator, be the leader, be the general. Doesn't have to be the point guard, you know, the labeled point guard or the positional point guard, right? LeBron James has been a floor general his entire career. He's the point guard.
You believe we have that in Randall?
He's the point guard for every team that he plays on, regardless of the size. So it doesn't have to be from that position. You can get it from other positions. Randall's not LeBron. He doesn't do it like LeBron does. He's not that kind of floor general. That's why I think this team, you still need a floor general. Randall's not that kind of a floor general.
And if you bring in Sexton, now Randall still has to play make. I would like to see Randall off the ball, not play make as much, not, you know, handle the ball as much. But if you bring in Sexton, I prefer to have the ball in Randall's hand than Sexton.
But Sexton's penetration will get Randall easy buckets.
Exactly.
If he sees him.
He will see them. He can't miss that guy.
Well, I mean,
have
listen,
you seen him play? He's missed a lot of people on his team.
Yeah, but they didn't have a Randall on their team. That's my argument. They didn't have a Barrett.
My argument is that
it's god awful garbage.
Play. You make the right play regardless.
The right play.
You know?
You'll make the right play with better players. I promise you.
But well, there was a time when Love was just the goodest player as Randall was.
You know,
he wasn't passing the ball to him.
Yeah, just give Luka the keys. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. The keys to what? The keys to what? I'll give him the keys to my moped.
Wow.
But Nate, here's this. Wow. Here's this. If you played in a situation, you know, for so long where, you know, you decide I'm not going to give it to this guy because, you know, he can't make a layup, he can't do this. You're not training yourself to do the right things. You start to develop those kind of habits. And
So maybe he wants to be on a better team. That's my argument. Maybe he wants to be with better players.
I mean, I just think
You're not putting your best foot forward.
Yeah,
doing
I
that,
think players, players play the basketball game and they know how to make the right plays. And if you're going to make the right plays, you're going to make the right, for some people, it's just natural. I'm going to make the right play. That's why LeBron got killed for so many years from people, because he just made the right play, regardless of who was on his team. He made the right play because it's the right practice, so that when you do get certain players on your team, you are in the habit of making the right play.
That's a perfect example, Sim, because that's one of the reasons LeBron gets criticized for not having that killer instinct, because he's not going to say, I got to do it every time. He's going to make the right play, the right read. And even another example is the Melo play when he gave the ball to Jared Jeffries down low. He made the right play. The guy didn't make the shot. And what was Woodson telling him the whole time, going back to the bench? You made the right play. We lost the game, yeah, but you made the right play. That's what you're supposed to do in those situations.
Right.
So
Because
I agree. But I also think that he can make the right reads.
Okay.
Colin Sexton.
All right.
He's only 22.
Yeah, but I think the point that I feel like we're missing, Harry, I think coaching plays a big role in that as well. Cleveland has just been a complete dumpster fire
and
since
player
LeBron James
development.
left.
Yeah.
Player development has been awful. Their coaching has been awful. Their front office has been horrible. Their salary cap structure has been terrible. I think coaching. Hold on,
Josh, real quick. Do you know how many coaches he's been through?
He's been through a lot. Cleveland's always been firing coaches. They've
3
been
or
firing
4
coaches.
probably.
Even when LeBron was there. But my thing is, I think coaching can fix that. We've seen what Tom Thibodeau did with Julius Randle. Julius Randle turning the ball over, making the spin move, making that mistake. And basically he turned Julius Randle into more of a facilitator. So I think that, at 22 years old, there's still a lot of growth there. I think we all agree on that. And we at least feel or think that he has the ability to do so. So I just say, let's give it a chance. At $6 million, $8 million, whatever it is, it's worth a shot, no question. And I guess we're about to start talking about who would give up.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about. Let's get into talking about some trade scenarios, because the first trade scenario that's out there is Colin Sexton to the Knicks, Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, and the 21st pick to the Cleveland Cavaliers. My issue here with that trade is that the money doesn't match up. And we don't know Cleveland's thinking on taking on salary, right? For the New York Knicks, you might say, well, it don't matter. They have money to absorb salary. But in this scenario, the Knicks would not be absorbing salary. They'd be taking less salary, right? Colin Sexton makes $6.3 million. Kevin Knox makes $5 million. Obi Toppin makes $5 million. So Cleveland would be taking back $10.8 million, almost $11 million. The Knicks would be taking back 6.3. So the money doesn't exactly match up, right? I think Cleveland would probably want the money to match up somehow, some way, right? Because they're young and they want to have as much cap space as possible, right? And also have roster spots available. Okay, so I think that trade would probably have some throw-ins to make the salaries match up and also to help clean up the Cleveland Cavaliers roster to make sure that they can they can bring in more players, so on and so forth. Right? So I think a trade like that would look more like this. The Knicks receive Collin Sexton, Damian Dotson, and Mfiondu Kabengele. I don't know if I said his name correctly. The Cavs receive Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, and the 21st pick. Now, the Knicks do not want Dotson and Kabengele. Guess what? Those two guys have non-guaranteed contracts for 2021 and 2022. So they can get out of those two guys' contracts and still keep money available. All right, each one of those guys makes about $2 million. Damian Dotson makes $2 million, and I think Kabengele makes a little bit less than that.
You give me Markkanen, we got a deal.
Who?
Markkanen, what's his name?
That's Chicago, though, isn't it?
That's oh wait, that is Chicago.
That's Chicago. That's Chicago. Terrible GM. Terrible GM. Terrible.
CD Osman, somebody said, would work too.
Kevin's gonna be the main guy to get it. One more time. I don't know.
That's your theme song, Kev?
That's his theme song. That's his new theme song. That's his new
It's
theme
them.
song. But when looking at that trade there, it makes it gives the Knicks the ability to still keep their I mean, the $4 million isn't a lot of money, but gives them the ability to keep that $4 million free. They get Colin Sexton. Now you give up Obi Toppin, you give up Kevin Knox, you give up the 21st pick. Your thoughts on that trade? What are your thoughts on that trade right there? I'll start with you, Steph. What are your thoughts? You're giving up Obi. You willing to do it?
Oh, yes. I'm definitely willing to get it. I was on Twitter today and everybody was talking about the trade, and Obi was the sticking point for a lot of fans. But for me, it isn't. I think, and I've said this before, in my opinion, I think Obi has underachieved based on the expectations with that eighth pick. I don't think he has a bankable skill other than him being athletic. He needs a point guard, as people could say, to unlock him. And what that means to me is that you can't get a bucket on your own. He cannot um, he can't play the three. He can't play the five. He's playing behind Randall. How much time is he gonna get? He can't defend the four because if it's at least a stretch four, he's not strong enough to defend power four. So I think, people talk about how well he did in the playoffs. He averaged 5 points and 4 rebounds. I mean, I feel like the Knicks fans are so thirsty that that little bit that he gave us, and everybody is getting very excited about it. But I think compared to his draft position, to me, I think Obi was a big disappointment. I think I'm not that high on Sexton. That being said, if you get an opportunity to get somebody who's had success in this league, um, plays a position of need, can help us out in an area that we need helping out in, which is in scoring, and make $6 million, and you have the opportunity to have his bird rights, and you do that in a New York moment, not even second, in a New York moment.
Okay. Tony, what about you?
I agree with Steph. I mean, I'm not as down on Obi as she is, but I mean, all the points are spot on. I mean, a proven guy. We know what we're getting from him. We got his bird rights. So you can lock him up long term in multiple different ways, whether it's an extension, whether it's going over the salary cap when that time comes. So sign and trade if we don't want to keep him. There's a bunch of things that we could do. So I'm with it. I'm with either one of those scenarios. And I think either one of them can work. I think we could do it without taking on the two non-guaranteed guys. For the simple fact that they'll still have the option to dump those two guys with their non-guaranteed. So we don't have to do it. They can do it themselves. And it could still work out in their favor, for both
That's
parties.
true. That's true.
And
That's
I
true.
like the fact that, if we're giving up two and not taking 2 for 1, that gives us more cap space for free agency. So I like either one. I'm fine with.
Right. And that is true. They can, dump themselves. I think it opens up two roster spots a little bit earlier for them. Because there's certain deadlines, when you've got to waive those guys or whatever it is, it could open up roster spots. It kind of just makes the trade work. But you're right. They could do that as well. They could let those guys go.
And
so
there's a window where the salaries don't have to be exact either. So
right.
So I think what I mean. It's up to them in that sense. If they if they want to take the 2 for 1, they can. If they want to kind of even it out a little bit financially, they can as well.
Right.
And it doesn't hurt either one of us.
They have other guys that they could throw in there if they wanted to, to make it work, if they wanted to try to clear more cap. You got J.R. Smith they could throw in there. He's at $1.4 million. Right. And then the Knicks could waive him. They would still eat that $1.4 million, but if they didn't want him, they could waive him. right? Lamar Stevens, he's probably a young guy that they want to keep. Let me see who else do they have on the books that they could throw out there. Dylan Windler, they probably want to keep him. I don't see anybody else down there that they might want to move. I don't know how they feel about Cedi Osman. If they
might want to move that
him.
contract because he's locked a little bit long term,
Yeah,
4 years or 3 years or whatever.
Right,
so that's probably a contract they would want to move.
And hey, just to touch, I know a lot of guys are not going to be happy with it, but I take on J.R. Smith. I think he could fit the same role Burks did, coming off the bench, a proven scorer. He's had his defensive moments, you know what I mean? But when he's locked in and playing under a guy like Tibbs, I think he could do the same thing he did under a guy like Woodson. So I wouldn't object to taking JR. We know he's fresh.
Ain't no lying about that. He's fresh, right? So he could be a possibility to throw into the trade. He makes $1.4 million. If they just want to clear the roster spot, clear that money off the books, he could be a possibility to throw in there just to make the money match a little bit better. Different ways that it can be done. You know what I mean? Different ways that it could be done. Kev, I see you shaking your head.
To Mr. Tony Crow's point, I just got 2 words on that J.R. Smith one. Move on. We've been there, done that. That's all I got to say about J.R. Smith. And I don't know what Josh is shaking his head for, but anyway. For one, I don't want to give up on Obi. Now, if we're talking about a Damian Lillard or one of these guys, yeah, most definite, but not for a Colin Sexton. For Sexton, I'm not with it because I just see more of a potential in Obi right now. I mean, it seemed like towards the end and in the playoffs, a little short playoff stint that we had, that he was really starting to come on. In fact, it could be said that out of all the players that were, on our team for the playoffs, he was the only one that really shined. So, wait. I know y'all want to put me on the grill and everything and chop me all up.
I guess make a little comment.
I'm just one of loyalty. I don't care, Sim. You put that song on there. What? I don't care. Call me a homer. Call me whatever. I mean, we finally have players now that are on our team that are starting to mature and starting to, make a name for herself. And I'm not the guy. I'm not that guy that's just gonna throw players away.
We're not throwing them away.
I understand you're not calling them away, but we drafted them.
Oh.
And we said we believed him.
He's an asset, Kev. He's an asset. You gotta. Did you see the show last week?
My position. Go ahead.
Because I hear this a lot on Twitter that Obi played better than Randall in the playoffs. Obi had no pressure on him. That Atlanta did not key on him at all. If Atlanta would have keyed on Obi, he would not have even scored 2 points in this playoff series. Randall, they keyed on Randall, and he wasn't efficient, but he still averaged 18 points. Obi had no pressure, and he only averaged 5 points and like 4 rebounds.
And like under 10 minutes, probably.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how this panel right here and people in the chat just want to just give up on a player.
It's not about just giving up on a player.
If you're talking about this, I'd rather if you said if it was just Kevin Knox and a couple of draft picks for Sexton, I could go with that.
But you're giving up Knox though. You're giving up on Knox
though.
But how many years it be? I could put out if Frank was was on our team under contract, I put him in there too, because I've seen.
But
everybody
that's
else is ready,
what
to get rid of him and everything.
I mean,
you're talking about Obi Toppin after a year.
But
come on,
but listen, Kev. At some point, you give up
all because he only had 1 year.
Kev.
Oh, he only had 1 year, and because he was the 8th draft, because
No,
working was
no.
picked.
23 years old on a 19-year-old developmental trajectory.
That's
By the
right.
time he gets to where he needs to be, he's going to be 26.
And what's
27.
wrong with that?
Oh,
What is
Kev,
wrong
if you
with that?
Kev, if you was
What
if
is
you was
wrong
really
with that? What is
if you
wrong
was
with
really
that?
if you was really a cornerstone, Kev, you
Yeah.
would be arguing for Knox rather than Toppin,
Listen,
which is crazy
we're
to me.
talking
We've
about
seen Knox
we're-
produce more than Toppin.
right. Absolutely.
So
But
why
we're
is your
still
argument
but we're
And he's
still
younger.
ready
for
to,
Toppin?
but we're still ready to
Obi
get
looks
rid of him.
raw.
Kev, here's the thing.
And Knox
Kev.
is younger than him.
But
Yeah.
Kev, check it out,
Y'all
Kev.
using this as
No.
an excuse just to get
No,
just to
it's
get rid of him.
not.
That's
Kev,
how we're that's
Kev,
how we're
listen.
seeing it.
Kev, can I?
That's how. Go
Kev,
ahead. Go
let me
ahead,
explain
Sam. Go
something to you.
ahead, Sam.
Let me explain something to you. You're talking about a 22-year Obi Toppin who has not produced anything yet, and I get it. He's only been in the league 1 year. You're also talking about a 22-year-old guard who's averaged 20 points per game
24 points per
and
game.
has produced for his career. He
So
averages
you're
20
just
points
ready.
a game.
So again, you're just ready to just get rid of Obi. Just
It's about
because
building
this
the
is a shit,
basketball
'cause this is-
team.
But
It's
we
about
have,
building
great.
the basketball
we
team.
have the foundation. We have the foundation. We
got
we're
6
building this
players under
foundation.
contract. What
Okay,
foundation do you
yeah,
have?
and
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You
I think
realize
I better
it's a
let it
trade,
go.
right?
I'm just saying, I'm not ready to give up on Obi. I'm really not.
All right.
Or IQ. I'm
Okay.
not ready to
All
give
right.
up on either one.
I'm
of
not
those
even talking about
Everybody
IQ.
has a price.
I understand that. I understand we're not talking about IQ, but I'm just saying that I am not ready to give up on an Obi or I'm not ready to give up on our young players that just got here.
Okay.
They just got here.
Well. You know, Colin Sexton is very young as well. As a matter of fact, he's younger than Obi
Yeah, the
Toppin.
OB.
Let's go. Well, actually, no. I think he may be older. He turns 23 in January. Obi will turn. Obi's already turned 23.
Yeah.
Obi's already 23, so he's younger than Obi. Obi's already 23 years old. Let's go on to another trade scenario. And I want you guys to remember, Donald Cannon, thank you for the super chat. See, y'all guys are bugging. Sexton had the same amount of coaches as Frank. He has. I just looked at it. He's had 3 coaches. And y'all want to give up Obi and get back Damian Dotson. It's not about getting back Damian Dotson. It's about having a player that can match the salaries, my friend. That's what it's about. Making the trade work. That's why players keep guys like teams keep guys like Damian Dotson and those type of guys around on non-guaranteed contracts so that they can use them to make salaries match in trades. That's why they keep those kind of cap fillers. That's why they keep them kind of guys around. It's not about Damian Dotson himself. There's more to it than that. It's about Colin Sexton. All right, let's go on to another one. The Knicks receive, and this one is a little bit smaller. Kevin's going to blow his top again. The Knicks receive Collin Sexton, just Collin Sexton, and the Cavs receive Obi Toppin, the 21st pick and the 32nd pick.
I'm good with that.
Right? And you know, doing that there, you don't have to worry about the monies. You know, the money is right there. They still get two picks, one first round pick, and they get the 32nd pick. That could very well be a first round pick. And
we save money.
And right, you save some money. Now, everything that I'm doing here, when I'm throwing these things out there, of course, ladies and gentlemen, these are all just scenarios. When I'm throwing these things out there, I'm really trying to help the Knicks keep their pick. And the importance of the Knicks keeping their pick and moving Dallas's pick is because if the Knicks keep their pick, it gives them the ability to move that 2022 pick in another scenario with, to bring back another player someplace else. If they move that 2021 pick, they can't move the 2022 pick, right? So it gives them the ability to move that 2022 pick if they want to. Not that they have to or that they're going to. It just leaves the option available. So Colin Sexton to the Knicks, Obi Toppin, the 21st pick and the 32nd pick to the Cavs. I mean, I think everybody would probably agree to that, except for Cav.
Might as well just talk to Cav because I think everybody agrees except Cav.
I don't agree with that one. I agree with the first one, but I don't agree with that one. I don't agree with the Knicks giving up on all their first round picks from this year. Or all their, I know 32 is not necessarily a first round pick, but it's close to it. I don't agree with the Knicks giving up both of those picks for Colin Sexton this year.
Why?
I like the first trade better because they get to keep one of those picks.
But let me ask you this: how
But
many
still
picks
keep
are the
one.
Knicks? How many picks are the Knicks going to keep this year? Because they still have a second round pick.
No, I know that. Listen, I'll be the first one to try to get picks out of here. But I think as far as comparing the trades, I like the first one better than the second one because you
Both
still have.
picks went out in the second one. You said
No,
both
just
second
one.
round.
Just one.
Just
The 21st pick went out, and then the Knicks would have still had the 19th and the 32nd and the 58th.
Right. Yeah. So I personally, I like the first one better. And those contract fillers or whatever, like you said, they're just cap fillers. So I'm definitely comfortable with the first one. The second one, I'll have to think about a little bit more because I still think there's some value in this draft. And I would want to hold on to at least one of those picks, those high pick, well, I don't want to say high, but one of those picks for the Knicks for this year and not just give up.
The 19th.
No. The second trade proposal that Sim wanted to do gets rid of the 19 and the 32.
No, it gets rid of the 21st,
21
and the 32. And the 32, and the Knicks still have the 19th.
Oh, then yeah.
The
Wolves.
The Knicks still have the 19th, so they
No
still
brainer.
have the 19th
No-brainer.
pick, and still you could still use that 19th pick and maybe Kevin Knox to move up if you wanted to.
No brainer, absolute no brainer.
Right.
Easy day.
Okay, all right. I mean, I think that would be a very clear-cut, easy trade scenario, but the Cavs might be offered a little more than that for Colin Sexton too. We always got to take those things into consideration. Next one I'm looking at, the Knicks get Colin Sexton. They give up Kevin Knox. They give up the 21st. They give up the 32nd. And they give up a 2023 second round pick.
Now we're talking.
It would
That's
have
fine.
to be a first, Sam, I think.
You think so?
Now we're talking.
For Sexton, if you just given up Knox, one first rounder and a second rounder this year, I don't think that gets.
And then the one from 2023.
And
That's
then
another
the one
pick.
from 2023. Because those 2023.
It's a first?
No, it's a
That's
second.
a first.
It's a
It's
second.
a second. Those 2023 picks are going to be, remember, that's a very deep, and maybe you
schools.
give them two. The Knicks have like 7 or 8 of them. Maybe you give them 2 second round picks from 2023. But those picks, you're going to get first round talent in those picks. Right? Because you got guys coming in from college. I mean, you got guys coming into the draft from high school. You got guys, it's the first year that guys are coming into the draft from high school. So the draft is going to be packed with high school guys, college guys who are seniors, college guys who are freshmen, college guys who are sophomores. So it's going to be a packed draft. You'll get first round talent in that second round. That's why the Knicks accumulated so many second round picks in 2023 to use them in trades. So maybe you throw 2 of them out there because you got so many of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're able to keep Obi, you're going to give up a little bit. You're going to give up more picks. Would you do the night? Would you keep, if you get to keep Obi and maybe you still keep Knox, would you give up the 21st pick this year, the 22nd, this year's 21st pick, and then the first rounder in 2022?
I do it.
No. I want to
I do it.
maintain the Knicks at least having 1 first round pick for the next 3 years. So that would mean if you give up the one from next year, they won't have any.
Yeah,
So
Don't we have 2 first rounds next year?
just one.
Yeah,
No, but he said
Just
this
one?
year and then 23, didn't he?
No, I said this year and then 2022. Now you have that
okay.
Dallas Mavericks in 2023, I think it is.
Yeah,
But
I'd
that's
rather do that.
protected. There's a lot of protections on that one.
The sky's about to fall because I agree with Josh.
I don't think
do agree
Cleveland
with
is
that.
going to do that one. though.
Yeah, I don't think that one there. I don't think Cleveland would do that one. I don't think they'd do that one right there. Kevin Knox,
Just one?
21st pick, 32nd. I don't think. I guess if you're not giving up Obi Toppin, then they probably want 2 first round picks. If you're not giving up Obi, that's what I'm thinking. Let me get to a couple super chats here. 1975 Jam Rocky said, "What happens if the Knicks don't match the offer sheet? If another team wants to sign Sexton, how is that different than if the Pelicans don't match?" I mean, I don't know about, I'm sure the Pelicans probably, I know what you're saying that if the Knicks decide not to match, they wouldn't be able to do a sign and trade. To be honest with you, I don't know why the Pelicans wouldn't try to do a sign and trade for Lonzo Ball with another team. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. why that, why it's that way. And when it comes down to it, they still might do it. They might be saying that they're not going to match the offer to keep him, but it doesn't mean that they still won't match the offer just so that they can trade him to the team that wants him. With them saying they're not going to match the offer, meaning we're not going to try to keep you if you want to go to another team, it still doesn't mean that they don't do a sign and trade.
Yeah. Especially the only reason not to do a sign and trade is if there's absolutely nothing you want from the other team.
Right.
And even if you don't want a player, you could get cash consideration, you can get a future pick, a couple of seconds. You know what I mean? It's always something you can get just to make it, you know what I mean? So you're saying I'm not losing this guy for nothing.
Exactly. I think that if Lonzo Ball's leaving, I think it's going to be a sign and trade scenario. And I think the same thing, the Knicks would be able to do the same thing with Colin Sexton.
And that gives the option for an additional year for that new team.
Right.
That wouldn't be available if it's not a sign and trade. So it's always reasons to do it for both sides.
So I have one more here, and I think this one is going to cause a lot, bring up a lot of conversation. This last one is the Knicks get Collin Sexton and Kevin Love, and they give up Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox. So the Knicks receive Collin Sexton and Kevin Love. The Cavs receive Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox. Tony, I'll start with you, then I'm going to come around to Nate. Would you do that trade? And before you go, the Knicks would absorb approximately $28 to $29 million in cap. Right? So if the Knicks are projected to have maybe $50 million.
The 50 is with Frank's cap hold, yes?
That is without the cap hold.
Without his cap hold?
That's without the cap hold, I believe. So if the
Knicks,
Knicks,
they said we could get up to 55. Something in that area.
Yeah, I think it depends on, the way that, if you waive this guy or that guy or whatever it is. I'd have to look at it again a little bit deeper. But either way, if the Knicks did this trade and they received Collin Sexton and Kevin Love, the Cavs received Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox, the Knicks are going to absorb approximately $28 to $29 million, meaning they're going to have anywhere from $22 to $27 million available to sign other players if they did this trade. Right? So they would still have some money, but I don't know how they would choose to spread that money around. Tony, is that something you would do? And why?
The main reason, the only way I could really do it, I have to know who is out there potentially that we could spend that 27 on, and it has to probably be some type of a wing, small forward, or a shooting guard. But I mean, because I try to look at things in the aspect of, but does it improve the team? Does it make us better than last year? And to me, it's a no-brainer that it does. You're talking about replacing Elfrid Payton with Sexton. You're talking about replacing Obi with Kevin Love. So I mean, if you look at it as simple as that, yeah, I'll do it. Does it make us a contender? Maybe not, but it improves the roster. Just to touch on Kevin Love a little bit, like this guy is a champion. A career, like he's done it with rebounds. He's done it with scoring. He's done it with the 3-point shot. Great facilitator. You talk about we need facilitating. He can do that. Obviously, that's an upgrade on our bench production, veteran leadership. So I mean, I'm not gonna look at it in negatively, and I'm gonna say yes, I would do it, but I have to know who I'm getting, who's in mind for the rest of that money, because we're still gonna be short a wing somewhere in that roster. But it's an upgrade. So yes, I'm with upgrade.
Right.
And we're not giving up. And what are we giving? We're using some salary cap. That's what we got to use it regardless. You know what I mean? We're already scratching out the point guard position, so we're not necessarily looking for an upgrade there. I mean, we may still, but it's not a necessity now because we have a scoring point guard. Um, so yeah, I think it's an upgrade, and I would do it.
Would you do it, Steph?
Not without significant draft compensation. He's just taking up cap space, not just for, it's not even a 1 year contract, right? I think he has like 2 or 3 more years left. Two. I just think we can better spend that money or just keep the cap flexibility. And also, he's injured, so I get the positives out of it. Um, he's not a great defender though, and he's not a great 3-point shooter. He's shooting just 34% for his career, but he can shoot it. Don't get me wrong. But at that salary for that year, tying up our cap, I'd rather keep the flexibility and get somebody else, unless they're giving us some significant compensation to take on that contract.
I agree with that compensation. Can I ask you this? Do you think Kevin Love? Because I also look at him as an asset. I think that contract
Injury
becomes
prone. He
movable
played
after
25
this year.
games.
The
You can move
contract
him
becomes
after this year.
yeah.
You
Last
can.
year on the deal. And
And I
I
think
don't
I think
Move him
he'll
where
play
though?
I mean
The Cavs couldn't move him. I'm sure the
and
Cavs was trying to move
because
him.
of the amount of years he had left. But coming to us, he won't have as many years, so it'll be easier to move him at that point.
Right.
yeah,
I would
I'm saying
pass.
at the very least after the
Pass.
season we can move him. But I don't know how I don't know how real those injuries are. Like career length, yeah, he's had injuries throughout his career, but like these past 2 years, I don't those particular injuries, I tend to not believe as much. I think it's a situation of one, the organization wanting to see what they have in the youth. Two,
Gotcha.
him not wanting to risk a real injury
Gotcha.
or you know what I mean, just
Gotcha.
playing with
Gotcha.
these young guys. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Now he becomes motivated because this
To do
becomes
that.
a better situation with a
Yes.
better team, a more is more likely to win. Now maybe not win it all, but it's a more of a winning situation. I think that changes a lot.
Yeah. Switch out Love and put in Jared Allen, and we could start talking.
I mean, yeah.
Now,
I would do that all day
all right,
long.
I would
Oh,
too,
I'm
but
doing it
now
all day
you know
long.
we giving up draft picks now we giving up a few draft picks.
I tell you what, I would.
But
I'm
do it.
okay with it.
I do it.
I would take
Do it.
Colin Sexton and Jared Allen, and I'd give up Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox,
And how many?
and I'd
picks?
give up the 19th, and I'd
And
give
the
up the 21st.
Yep.
I would do that for those
Yeah.
for both of
Would you
those
do?
guys.
Would you do a first next year too? Because I probably would.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I probably would, just because our center's locked down now, right? We still have Mitch, so now Mitch is on a real play for play for your next contract situation, and you become expendable, where he
You
could
could
be moved
include Mitch in a trade
Yeah.
with someone else. Yeah.
someone else or some picks
Or
back.
something.
So yeah, I do it. I don't value the draft picks as much, especially like right now. We know what our picks are, 1921. Like when it comes down to like you don't know, and it might end up being a first, or if you could protect it because it's in the future. I do it. I do protected picks and picks that I know exactly where they are. Not because now you can look at who you want, do you think they're available, and weigh your options.
Right.
Oh, I don't think it's a slim chance I'm gonna get this guy who I really want. Let me move this pick and get somebody that I know is established and what I'm getting in return. So
Right.
What
And what
about
position is Love playing too?
backup 4.
At that salary?
Can I add to that? Yes, Steph. I want to add to that. So to answer Sim's question, yes, I would do it. And the reason, is I'm not even going to talk basketball about Kevin Love, right? Because when he was in Minnesota, he was doing 26 and 15, easy day, right? So we know he has the ability.
Years ago, though.
But we know he has the ability to rebound. We know he has the ability to score. We know he can shoot the three, right? So I think from a basketball standpoint, yeah, and he can facilitate. At the backup 4 position, I don't depend on him to get hurt as much because he won't be playing as many minutes. Okay. The second thing, I think, as far as financial wise, the money, we can move that contract down the road. And that contract won't prevent us from signing Randall long-term because we can go over the cap to sign him. And it's also Sexton because we'll control his bird rights. So that $27 million in cap space, we got to think who would be out there or who's currently out there right now in free agency that we can go after that can be a legitimate piece. Kawhi Leonard's not guaranteed yet. He didn't say that he's leaving the Clippers yet or anything like that. So I don't really think there's too many free agents out there that we can legitimately go out and get straight up that what Kevin Love's contract will be in a way for us to get. So I think definitely I would make this move. I would have him as the backup 4. I think he'll be a great addition to this team. He's a champion, and we can use someone like that in the locker room. I don't have any problem with this trade at all. And I think Kevin Love, one last thing, I think Kevin Love, his contributions, whether he's hurt or not, will be 2 or 3 times more than the contributions that Knox and Obi can give us together.
So do you think we still have enough money to fill out the remainder of the roster?
Absolutely.
Doing that trade.
No question. Absolutely.
We only got 6 players, Josh.
I know. But my thing is...
And that would still leave us with 6 players because you're trading Collin Sexton and you're trading Obi and Knox.
Right.
So you still only got 6 players and you got to have 15.
Right. And if you look...
$27 million.
And if you look up and down the NBA rosters, there's almost 3 players on every, at least contending team that get paid over $30 to $35 million. That's over $90 million in their roster, $90 to $100 million in their roster, covered up by 3 players that they're able to fill out the roster.
But those 3 players are definite 3 all-stars at the very least, for the most part.
Right. What I'm saying it's possible. I'm not saying Knicks are going to win.
No, we know it's possible, but then they're filling out the rest of the roster with minimum, salaries, right? Veteran minimum salaries, because they got these 3 guys that can handle most of the load.
Right.
But the Knicks, I don't think with this trade still have that kind of a roster where you're saying, these 3 guys are 3 all-NBA players, so we only need veteran minimum guys.
Right. What I'm saying is, the Knicks are not going to win a title with bringing in Kevin Love and Colin Sexton. They're not even going to get close to it. I think it makes the team better. I don't know about that. I think they take a step forward. They're not going to win a title.
Depending on how you feel about the roster.
The question, take a step forward. There's no bench. There's no.
Let me finish. What I'm saying is the question was about, can the Knicks be able to fill out the rest of the roster? It's definitely possible. I'm not saying fill out the rest of the roster because you have 3 all-star players. We know the Knicks won't have that at that point, but with $27 million, it's definitely possible to fill out the rest of the roster.
We know it's possible to fill out the roster. I mean, you can sign a bunch of players to $2 million to fill out the roster. Right. We know that. We're talking about quality players. Derrick Rose might get up to $10 million.
Right.
Right? If you got between 22 and 28, 22 and 27, if it ends up being 22, depending on how the numbers work out, he takes up 10, you got 12 left. Now, there's some other exceptions in there that you can use. I'm just saying it becomes very difficult. It does become difficult to fill out your roster with some high-quality role players, I think.
In that scenario, we gave up no picks, right?
No picks.
Right.
No picks.
All right.
So you do have your picks.
So you got, let's say it's 28 million in cap, right? Let's say we take 10 off and we give that to Derrick Rose, right? We keep Derrick Rose. So that's 7 players, right? Let's say hypothetically, I don't know what Duncan's gonna demand, but let's say he takes 18, right? So that's all our money, right? For 6, 7, 8 players, right? Now we got our draft picks. Mm-hmm. Which we can go over to pay for. So that's 3 picks. That's 6, 7, 8.
Well,
that's 11 players right there.
You can't go over to pay for the 32nd pick because it's not a first round pick.
So 2 of them. That's 10 players. That's 10 players right there. And now you got and that's not touching any exceptions. So you got mid-level exception. You got veteran minimums. Like we're already
you can do vet minimums.
Talked about a guy like I doubt Melo comes, but you know what I mean? You got veterans that we can bring in on a veteran minimum that are still feasible players.
That can contribute and play some meaningful minutes.
So even if we divided that 828 into 2 players, you know what I mean? That brings us up to 8 That brings us up to 10 with our 2 first-round draft picks.
So we're back to signing 1-year
So,
contracts
so
now.
now,
Well, it's a
we
business
have.
move,
You're
Kev.
not.
That's a business move for down
So
the
now
road. That's not.
you got 5 spots
Somewhere
to
down the
fill
line, you
with
have
exceptions
to
and veteran minimums.
somewhere down the line, you have to invest in players and not sign them just for 1 year, because that's all they're
But
doing.
you
They're
are.
playing
Colin
for
Sexton.
their
But
Colin
you
Sexton.
are investing in a player. You're. I mean, at that point, you're saying we're investing in RJ, we're investing in Randall, we're investing in Colin Sexton.
How did it work for us when we signed all those power forwards for 1 year?
This is different.
And
Athletes.
how is it?
But hold
and
up,
how is
hold
it
up. Wait a
si-
minute.
and
No.
how is it right-
Hold up. Let's back
and
up.
how
Let
is it
me
right
stop you there.
now?
Let me
You know
stop
how
you
it
right
worked?
there.
We
No.
had the cap space the next year
Hey,
to make better moves.
Tony. Let me stop him here, and then I'm gonna get to Nate because people want to bring that. I'm glad you brought that up, Cornerstone Kev. I am very, very glad you brought that up because if you look at a lot of those signees from that year,
Bobby.
they're doing well in the NBA, and if that team would have been under Tom Thibodeau, you can argue that they would have been pretty good. So a lot of that had to do with coaching. All of this stuff about we signed all these power forwards, it's dumb. Because with this team right here, I guarantee you, if we had Bobby Portis and we had, what's his name?
Marcus Morris.
Marcus,
Mook.
and we have Mook on this team right here, with Tom Thibodeau as the coach, we'd have been even better than we were this year. I think so. We wouldn't have had Quickly. We wouldn't have had Obi. We would have had somebody else other than Obi because we wouldn't have needed Obi as a power forward. Bobby Portis, the reason why Bobby Portis was there is because Mitch couldn't shoot the three. So you had a guy who could play power forward and center, who could spread the floor for Julius Randle. That was the point. It didn't work because our coaching was terrible. You would take Bobby Portis on this team right now. I guarantee you would. And you would take Mook. You would take Mook at the three because we were missing a three this season.
Yes. I still want him if we could trade for him.
So you can't tell me you wouldn't take those two players this year.
So in other words, y'all saying the Knicks had talent?
Yes, the Knicks had some talent.
Okay.
We had terrible coaching.
Isaiah's not here, man.
So, we going on, we going on with we going back to we signed all these power forwards. Get out of here with that.
I'm not just talking about the power forwards. I'm talking about the concept of signing guys for 1 year. We did the same thing with Burks, and now we're doing the same thing with New Orleans. So now you're saying that we're going to do this again, signing a 1 year contract. Signing 1 year contract.
That's how you stay flexible.
That was the back end of the rotation.
But somewhere down the line, you have to have a team that you trust.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
These 1 year contracts is going to be on the back end of the roster. They're not going to be the starters. Now, I don't think we're going to be a good team with Sexton, RJ, Randall, Love, and Mitch, and hardly scraps coming off the bench. I don't see it. I don't like it, but I get it.
My scenario, we still have Rose, and we get a guy like possibly a Duncan Robinson if 18 can get him.
And you still have Quickly coming off the bench.
So
Improving.
like to me, that's an upgrade. You know what I mean? Like in that scenario,
I just don't believe we're high on Love. I just don't get it. But okay.
is he better than Obi?
Yes, he's better than Obi, but that's $30 million though.
Yeah, but Steph, who are we going to sign with that $30 million?
Well, we can find somebody better that can contribute better than Kevin Love. Backing up Randall for $30 million.
The thing is,
how many power forwards are you going to find better than Kevin Love as a backup?
You're going to pay a backup $30 million?
But there's no one else we're going to give the money to, Steph. That's what I'm saying.
Why not? Hold up. Wait a minute.
We'll figure something out.
Hold on. Why not, Josh? You're talking about the Knicks would have the Knicks will possibly have $50 to $55 million, even if they trade for Colin Sexton, right? You still got about 50, let's just say $47 to $53 million, even if you trade for Colin Sexton. You're gonna telling me you're telling me right now that the Knicks aren't gonna be able to find players for that money?
No,
Kelly
that's not what I was trying to
Oubre,
say.
Alonzo Ball.
That's not what I'm trying to say. There's no guarantee Lonzo Ball is going to be
No, it's
a
not.
unrestricted free agent. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about unrestricted free agents that you can literally go out and say, I'm signing you. I'm putting my money up to sign you outright. No one else can do anything
I
about
would
it.
sign.
That's what
I'm not
saying.
even high on Oubre, and I would sign.
I mean,
Oubre
Oubre
over
is
Kevin Love.
unrestricted.
And I'm not even that high on, but I would sign him over Kevin Love.
And pay him cheaper. Okay, I guess that's fair. But to me, I think the whole purpose of the trade is to bring in Sexton. And I think Sexton, if you add him to the equation, that's what makes it worth it for me. We can eat the money and we can go on, we can still do business later. But me, I would rather get Sexton. I mean, listen, any one of these trades works for me.
Picks.
I mean,
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, Bobby Portis is going to be a free agent. Speaking of Bobby Portis,
I would take Portis.
Oh, he's coming back. He's coming. He's going and he's staying with.
He might. I'm just saying. He is. Go ahead, Nate. I know Nate's been waiting for a little while.
Yeah, I'm just listening to all y'all said. So a couple of points for me. First off, the Cavs are not trading Colin Sexton without Kevin Love tied to it. They want to get rid of Kevin Love's contract. There's been articles out there saying that they want to get rid of Kevin Love and they want to tie him with Colin Sexton. So I do not believe that this trade gets done without Kevin Love tied into it. So
I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with that because he's actually going to be Kevin Love. I think could be more tradable next season.
So it was
At
like
the end of next
it was
season.
like the same thing with us when we were trying to get rid of Tim Hardaway's contract. We did, but we had to give up Porzingis in the trade as well.
Yeah. That's not how it happened.
Well, I mean there's a lot more. We didn't give up KP to trade Tim Hardaway. We did.
Okay.
We did not give up KP to trade Tim Hardaway, bro.
Well, you can throw Courtney Lee. You can throw Courtney Lee as that example. Courtney Lee was thrown in there just to, because you wanted to get rid of that salary. You wanted them to take the salary with Hardaway and Courtney Lee at the time. But anyways, all I'm saying is I would be shocked, and I'll eat crow if it doesn't happen. If it happens a different way, if Colin Sexton does not get traded with Kevin Love on top of that. But that being said, listen, I think Knicks fans have to be real in a sense. Like we talk all the time, like, yeah, we got all this cap money, but like Josh said, like this free agent class is very weak. Like arguably your best player is probably going to be maybe a Ball or a Duncan Robinson. I don't know.
Chris Paul might be your best player that's out there. He might stay in Phoenix, but he might be your best player. Kawhi Leonard could very well be on the market. Mike Conley's on the market. Kyle Lowry on the market. DeMar DeRozan's on the market. Victor Oladipo's on the market. Dennis Schroeder's on the market. Evan Fournier's on the market. These are all wings that are on the market. There are players. They may not be superstar top 5 players, but there are players on the market where you can fill out your roster with a pretty deep team, the same way the Atlanta Hawks did last year.
Yeah,
my question is
about those players are on one year deals.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to hit at, because you don't save 50 to 60 whatever $1 million to sign stopgap guys. That's what I'm trying to say. And I get Kevin Love. I get Kevin Love will be a stopgap, but you can use his contract as an asset at that point.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. So I feel like if the Knicks are not going to sign anybody, you don't save $50 million to sign $5 million, $10 million contract. 99 cents for a contract.
I would rather do that than sign Love.
But I'm not saying that's what you do.
But listen, I think the Knicks have that money. They want to do something big. But if they can't do something big, I don't think you just give the money out 4 and 5 year contracts. You may have to give out 3-year contracts, team option in the 3rd year, and you may have to overpay in year 1 and year 2 to get them to accept that type of that short contract.
But you're going to do that with Kevin Love anyway, though. That's what I'm saying.
Right. But I'm saying I feel like we could put a better team together if we spread the money around. We could put a better team together than to give Kevin Love $30 million and have to sign vet minimum guys.
The thing is, here's the thing is, like, look at what happened last year. I mean, we had to do we didn't make any trades. We had to fill the roster out with basically 2 big players, or I'm sorry, the year before, I think, whenever we got Randall and we got
Portis
and Morris.
Portis, yeah. So basically, we signed 2 players for like pretty good money, and then after that, we filled it out with a bunch of 1-year, 2-year deals and stuff like that. So ideally, if we don't make the trade for Colin Sexton, and like I said, I feel like Love's gonna have to be included in the deal. So he's going to eat that cap up. So whatever remaining cap you have, you're going to have to fill it out with maybe one big player like a Duncan Robinson or Oubre. And then after that, you're going to have to go all 1-year deals. Or if you don't make the trade, you're going to have to pay at least 2 guys, at least a pretty good amount of the cap, like whether it's an Oubre or Duncan Robinson, and then fill it out with the remaining 1-year deals. So like Josh was saying, I mean, honestly, Kevin Love and Sexton make this team better. Yeah, I get the depth's not going to be good, but I mean, you can find guys that want to come play, you know, and there's going to be, yeah, exactly. And I mean, like I said, I mean, you upgrade your point guard position. You got a point guard of the future, possibly. You've got Kevin Love, who can come score off the bench and give you some good minutes at the 4 or 5. You don't have to necessarily pay Nerlens. You know, you're going to re-sign Mitch more likely. So, I mean, you can make it work, but I'm just saying, like, I just don't see the Cavs giving away Sexton without putting Love in the deal.
Right.
I feel like they want to get away from that contract.
Right. And
if they with the right deal.
If you're taking on a $30 million contract, I think the player has to be better than Sexton.
Yes.
To take on
exactly.
a $30 million contract, if we talking about, I don't know, name somebody, and you're like, wow, to get that player, I got to take on Love for like a year, and I'll probably be able to trade him in year 2. I may consider that. But Sexton ain't that guy that would make me consider doing that.
I just disagree on that.
I disagree. I disagree as well. Yeah. I got two points. One, because and oh man, Kawhi Leonard, like right now, let's say he does opt out and he is willing to sign on, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think he's signing on for?
40.
Probably 2 and a possible, right?
2 and a possible, right? But at least 40 a year.
So that being said, we just had the surgery, so we're talking about 6 to 9 months before he's back. You know who Kawhi is as a player with dealing with injuries. He ain't rushing back. He ain't coming back if he don't feel like he
ain't no lying about that.
110%.
Right.
So now you're talking about a potential guy that we won't even see for a year, like signing Durant.
Oh, I'm not talking about signing Kawhi.
Oh no, I'm just using him as an example.
Okay.
Because like Nate and like Josh was saying, this free agent class isn't that deep. You know what I mean? So
see, I kind of disagree about that free agent class. I think it's an okay free agent class.
All right.
There may not be a lot of guys at the top of the bill like your Kevin Durant's and Kawhi Leonard's and those guys.
But I think all those guys are gonna get overpaid. Those
exactly.
I think it
That's
is.
But
it's okay if it's a contract though, and it keeps that flexibility.
So what is? Are we talking 1 years again? Because if that's what we're talking, then that's more like a more feasible option. But even if you're talking 2 to 3 years as a short contract, that's what Kevin Love is under. Pretty much.
And you can move it in his last year.
$30 million though.
I think that's just the big.
That's the sticker. It's the $30 million.
And just one last thing. I think that $30 million. I think we can move Love and a Mitchell Robinson if we know that we're not gonna re-sign them. You know what I mean? I think we could get good value for those 2 guys together combined, because now you're splitting 30 million and $1 million. So you doing 31 million for 2 players. You know what I mean?
Right. And the thing about Kevin Love's contract, he makes 30 million in his last year. You can move that contract because it's an expiring deal. That's an asset for another team to take on if they want to save cap space. So
it's an asset in the sense of going after that big name guy who's making 40 million, 35 million, whatever, because now we're giving up somebody who fills that cap space for the other team. It's only a 1 year for them. You know what I mean? So they can potentially go ahead and do that trade with some draft picks. You know what I mean? Draft picks being the vocal point.
And we maybe
overestimating
our ability
and the money
to get
adding
Love,
up.
Though.
But see, I feel like in that last year, it wouldn't be us trading Love. I don't think we would get a trade for Kevin Love. I think it's going to be a buyout, kind of like Blake Griffin. I mean, Blake Griffin is better than Kevin Love. They couldn't trade him.
Right.
But we see players get traded and then bought out. That's what I'm saying. He becomes the buyout option for the trade team.
Yeah, but you see players who have smaller smaller contracts get traded to make the trade work and then get bought out. But when you got guys that's making $28-30 million, teams are like, if they like, I mean, Blake Griffin is a prime example. He got bought out because nobody was going to trade for him. No one was going to trade for Blake Griffin, so he got bought out. Right? Who else got? LaMarcus Aldridge got bought out.
Both
right?
of these guys were in the last year of their contract.
Drummond.
That's what we're saying about Kevin Love.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. And that last year of his contract, it would be the last year of his contract. He's probably going to get bought out. The Knicks are just paying him the
Cavs
money.
have been trying to move him, but I get what you're saying. It wasn't the last year. I just don't think it's going to be as easy as we think it's going to be to trade him. They're going to have to. A team is going to have to match that salary. We got to bring $30 million worth of.
But that's where I think the value comes in, because now you're talking about $30 million in cap space to fill. Let's say I don't want to bring up a guy and get killed, so I'm trying to use the money as the point, as the price point.
Right.
But we could trade for a guy who's making $35 million, $40 million, $42 million.
With Kevin Love as the centerpiece of the trade. Yeah.
As the centerpiece?
Not centerpiece.
Well, it's the money.
Exactly. Not centerpiece as in the value of the player, but the value of the contract.
Right.
That would be the centerpiece. But now you got to throw in a guy like Mitch, who has value, but you can't get equal value for Mitch because he only makes $1 million. You know what I mean? So, like, that's why I feel like trading Mitch, we lose because of his value of the dollar and potential. So you could throw in little contracts with valued players, but don't make a lot of money. The draft picks that you could throw in addition to moving Love to take back this star player, like that's where the value is.
Potentially,
I get it.
I think we might have to get stuck with it.
I just really kind of feel like it. It's gonna be. It would be harder. I just feel like it'd be harder to move Love than. Be harder to move Love. And I feel like we might get caught with a ball out there.
Let me ask you this question.
But hold on. Let me open up the phone lines. All right, the phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. Call in. I'm sure you have some thoughts on this topic. 516-405-2246. We want to hear what you're thinking about. And let me get to these super chats here, Nate. Then I'll come to you.
Okay.
And I want to take a dreamer's look at what that Colin Sexton and Jared Allen trade could look like, because that would be dope.
Now we talking.
But you already know Cleveland ain't giving up Jared Allen.
Yeah.
You already know that. They're not giving him up.
Maybe if they get Mobley.
And who's to say they don't do it and take Mitch back?
Well, I mean, it's possible they could do it to take Mitch back, but I think they like
draft picks. They save money. They still have a potential, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They traded for Jared Allen. They're not going to trade him.
I think they like him. But let me get to these super chats here. Let me see who's first. 1975 Jam Rock. Thank you for the super chat. He says salaries don't need to match. The Knicks are under the cap. What would happen is the Cavs would get a trade exception, a hard pass on Sexton, fans being thirsty. I mean, you're right. That could happen if the Cavs want the trade exception, because I believe the trade exception still counts against your cap. If you have that trade exception, and then you have a certain amount of time that you've got to use that trade exception. But yeah, that could happen though. Christopher Phillips, thank you for the super chat. He said, I'm not trading Obi Toppin. Take the picks or no deal. Okay. All right. And Jamrock again, he said, you guys know the consensus of GMs in the league is the most Cavs can get for Sexton is a mid-first pick. And they messed up his value by not trading him last year. We will see. I'm pretty sure that the Cavs are going to try to, play some people against each other to see what they can get for Colin Sexton, and who knows how many people. There's only so many teams that need that kind of a starting guard, and the Knicks are one of them. So, we will see. Guess we'll see how that goes. But this last one, right, that we just came up with now. And this would be beautiful for the Knicks. I know everyone's going to look and say, you guys are crazy. Cavs ain't doing that. But, the Knicks brought back Colin Sexton and Jared Allen. And then the Cavs would receive Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, the 19th pick, the 21st pick, and 2 2023 second-round picks.
Probably want Mitch.
I would do it.
They might
They
want
probably want Mitch. I agree.
They might want Mitch.
Okay.
Would you do Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox, and Mitchell Robinson plus the 19th, the 21st, and 223?
I don't think we need
Second
all
round
of
picks?
that, though.
All of that would be too much.
Maybe one draft.
We gotta keep Mitch or Obi. And in this
exactly. You gotta keep Mitch or Obi.
I would potentially keep Obi just because we're bringing in a center.
Right.
I think that kind of makes the center expendable.
Right.
We still have our bench filled out a little bit with Obi at that position. I mean, but then again, Mitch could, or one of the two centers could come off the bench too. But I wouldn't give up both Mitch and Obi. One of them, and I'll even throw in, you know what I mean? Those draft picks, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, they're low draft picks.
I just don't see a place for Obi on this team behind Randall.
And another question I would ask about those draft picks is Colin Sexton better than where you're probably going to draft at? Yes.
Probably, yeah.
So, I mean, really, what's the value of those draft picks?
Well, I
Other
mean,
than trading
I guess it all depends on what else you could get because, you know, you can say, yes, Colin Sexton is better than him, but if you got another guard, if you signed a guard and then you use those picks to move up to get another wing, you know, the value could still be there. But so it all depends on how they would have moved, how they move forward. You know?
So, can I play devil's advocate for a sec?
Well, yeah. Before you do that, just one question.
Yeah.
Is Jared Allen that much better than Mitchell Robinson? Does he make that much of a difference on this team than Mitchell Robinson does?
I think he's more fundamentally sound on defense, even though Mitch has improved. But Jared Allen is less susceptible to fouling, and he's a better scoring. He has a little bit better offensive game. So yes, no question.
When they traded Drummond, and I'm not saying he's going to do this every night, but he had like a 20 plus 17 rebound game, was all over the place, very dynamic, really changing things up for them on the defensive.
He's a better rebounder than Mitch.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I just put in the chat a link to the NBA draft party with all of the NBK content creators. VIP tickets are available now, but there's limited quantity, so make sure you get them now. All right, I just put the link in the YouTube chat, and I'm pinning it to the top of the YouTube chat, so you can go get those tickets now. The party is on July 29th in Atlantic City at the Flagship Resort. All right, it's going to be dope, and all the type of conversation that you heard here tonight, you're going to get to see it and hear it live, and step to the mic and give your opinion and be on the live stream. So make sure you check us out. Your VIP ticket gets you early entry. You get to hang out with everybody, meet people that's here on the panel, which is going to be fun. We're looking forward to meeting you. You get a happy hour buffet, free beer, some other things that's going on, some other live things that'll be happening that night. So make sure you go ahead and get your ticket. Now let's get back to the action, ladies and gentlemen. The spirit of Ogun. Thank you for the super chat. He said, any thoughts on trading for Shy from OKC? I know Tony has some real thoughts on that. You know what I mean? Tony, you want to answer that?
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. I think OKC has proven what they value more than anything else. Whether it's player development, whether it's players already on the team, they only value draft picks right now. So I think it's just a matter of what package they want, and I think we have what it takes to get them. I think we could make a package for them, and I don't think there's anything that stops them. I don't see a reason why they keep them, for the simple fact that they have nothing else really. You know what I mean? We can put them in a position to where, hey, you want 3 more picks, 4 more picks? Like, what's it gonna take? But I do it.
Probably the future, Tony.
Say that again?
He's a future part of that team.
He's the only
they traded Paul
George
team for this guy.
He's the only part of that team. So I mean, I don't see a scenario where they say we want to keep him. And even if they do, I don't see a scenario where he wants to stay there long term. He's came into the league and had success immediately, and instead of being rewarded for his success, he got punished for it and set to, you know what I mean, set to a whole new rebuilding situation. And granted, he had the success the 1 year with Chris Paul. I think he learned a lot from him. That was a great experience. But now it's like bottom dwellers. So I don't even see a situation where, if you talk about who's one of the next guys to demand out, I'd put him on my list just because of where he started from, then had success after the trade with Chris Paul. And then it's like, all right, scrap everything all over again, start from nothing. And he's already under contract for long term. So obviously they don't have to appease him if he asks for a trade. But I think he's one of those next guys to ask for a trade. And
So-
at this particular point, we have what it takes to get him. Yeah.
So I don't agree with you, Tone. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a long part of their organization.
Yeah,
I think he's currently the face of their franchise, and I don't think that the Thunder are willing to trade him because they control his rights. So there's no incentive for the Thunder to make that trade. I don't think that it's going to be worth it for them. I think they're going to hold on to him and wait till he hits free agency, and then see what they have in their team once they draft all these players and see who's going to.
Boards and all-star for Shai Gilgeous. That should say enough right there.
Yeah, they're not going to get rid of Shai
They
Gilgeous.
also,
It would be nice to have him. I would love him.
They also picked up like 27 picks.
Yeah, but
Right.
none of them
But like
that be called.
they're not.
You're pretty
losing.
muffled, Nate. You're muffled. It's hard for us to hear you. You're muffled.
I agree. They have to be willing to do it, but everything that we've seen so far is that they're willing to make a trade for draft picks.
But at one point, you can only have so many draft picks, Tone. I mean, they have a bunch of them right now. I mean,
I agree. What do you think they're gonna do with Kemba?
They're going to move him.
Flip him for picks?
No. See, no. They're going to flip him, but they have to include draft picks to sweeten up the deal. So them having draft picks helps them move that contract.
like the Kevin Love situation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
don't
incentive
know
for
if
other
they-
teams to take them.
I mean, I understand like they collect draft picks, but I don't think they collect them just to collect them. I think they're
Right.
collecting them so that they can add pieces when they're ready to add pieces.
I mean, they're going to try to make a big move for the next big superstar.
You think they have a legitimate game plan like laid out?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
out?
I think
I don't.
but see, I think it's like this.
I think they have a worse plan than the trust supply process.
But see,
I
I actually think it's like this, right? I think part of the plan is we got SGA. Let's accumulate as many assets as possible. Now we got these assets. Now let's go start getting players.
Exactly.
I think that's the plan. And then they say, okay, we got SGA. You're gonna see how he develops, right? Do we build around him? Is he a player that can turn into a, an all NBA top 5 type of player? Or do we need to add, those kind of players? So I think what you do is, you start collecting your assets and then you make your plan. So I think this is the first part of the plan, collecting your assets.
I think they want to hit lightning in a bottle again and get a crazy draft class where they're picking up 3 future MVPs in one draft. You know what I mean? I think that's what they're trying to do more so than accumulating these assets to bring in like disgruntled players, because even that is a failed, like that might help you for a year, maybe 2 years, but ultimately those disgruntled guys, they're not going to want to stay there either.
But what's funny, Tony, is I actually think that, just like we say the Knicks are looking for the next disgruntled star, OKC might be the same way. And OKC has a lot more assets to go ahead and make that move than we do, because they've got draft picks up the wazoo for the next God knows how many years. And they actually have a legit possible star player in
that they can build around.
That they can build around.
I agree with that 100%.
We don't have that guy.
I don't think they have the assets to get anybody pretty much. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
they're trying to do what Boston did.
Because even in that scenario, that all of the assets is in SCJ or draft picks. So either they're gonna have to include him with draft picks to do what they want, or they're gonna be working with just draft picks. how valuable are these? Let's say, give an example of a star, a random star that doesn't want to be there. Let's
Well,
just say it's Giannis, right?
Potentially Cat.
but let's point to what
Oh,
they did. But let's
Potentially
point.
Donovan Mitchell.
But let's point to what they did with Chris Paul, because they used their resources to bring in Chris Paul. Then they were a team that no one thought was going to do anything. He helped to get them to the playoffs, right? But their ability to absorb his contract, right? And I don't remember what the exact trade was. If they sent out picks in that trade, I don't remember. I don't know.
acquiring Chris Paul, no.
And acquiring Chris Paul, but
No.
I think that's it's like, okay, we can acquire this guy, right? Maybe this is a guy that we say, hey, they can stay or not. Then we have to move them. We have to flip them for something else. I think that's part of the process. I don't know if it necessarily means that, because if they can acquire a guy, then maybe they can flip. Maybe they can flip Kemba to a team and it turns into a younger player that.
Or maybe they just
grows
want a
into a
vet
star.
to go with a really young team. I mean, Kemba can fill that void if they need a vet that just needs to come in and kind of teach the young guys the ropes, because I mean, one thing about Oklahoma City that people don't give them enough credit for is, first off, they have a hell of a GM in Sam Presti. He came from the Spurs, so he knows how to make moves. Second of all, they have really good player development. If you look at some of the players they've drafted, they have a very potential to have some good stud players on that team. So I feel like they're playing with house money right now. I mean, they got a bunch of draft picks.
We'll see how well that works in the next coming years, though, if they really do have that kind of player development and this and that, or if they they lucked up and they got 3 superstars and then they were able to flip that to continue to bring in more players, to stay competitive. Now we'll really see if they have that strong of a player development system. Let me get to a phone call. Caller, you live. Tell me your name, where you're from. Caller, you there? Oh, I guess the caller got tired of hearing about OKC and hung up.
But Sam, and one of the things also that what they did with Chris Paul, they still had veterans on that team. That's the difference.
Right.
Like even though the overall perception was they're not going to be a good team, like I didn't necessarily feel that way because they had good, solid veterans on that team, and that's
Steven Adams. That's the only person they had.
Yeah, they had a bunch of young players.
Well, Steven Adams was one of them.
Didn't they have
I'm
what's
pretty
his
sure
name?
they had at least 3.
Didn't they have Al Horford?
No, I don't think.
I think
No,
Al
they got Al
Horford
Horford after they
afterwards.
traded Steven Adams.
I think
right?
Al Horford
Oh, he came after?
was
Okay.
afterwards.
That was the Russell Westbrook trade. They wanted to get rid of Westbrook and send Westbrook to Houston.
They made a lot of trades.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see what happens, man. I don't know, but
Well,
I think it is.
the kid that got paid for Detroit was on that team.
Hamidou Diallo,
Jeremy Grant.
Grant
Oh, Grant was on the team.
was a veteran, ascending veteran.
But that was a free agency move. He went to Detroit for free agency.
No, but what he's saying is who was on that OKC team.
Oh.
As was Nerlens Noel was on that team. But that's what I'm saying. They had more solid players around
That's
it.
true.
Like now it just feels like it's all youth. But like besides Kimber now, which they flipped him for the only old guy they had in Al Horford. But other than that, they're young.
Yeah.
So
But
I don't know.
But look, man, the Knicks, if they could find the right trade, I think it'd be a good idea to bring in Colin Sexton because of his age, the value of the contract, and the ability to remain flexible, right? Because you have control of his contract, you can decide it works, so we want to keep him around. You can decide it doesn't work, so we're going to move him. I mean, you have a lot of flexibility with that contract. It's a really nice contract for a guy who can give you 20 and he makes $6.3 million for at least one season. That's a really good contract. Gives you a lot of flexibility. You have a lot of flexibility with your salary cap in the off season. So I think, I mean, it almost does make it a no-brainer to say, let's go get it, and then put the pieces around to make sure that we have the floor general and we have the leaders out there and we have a bench and stuff like that. I think, I think it's very it would be you can't give up too much. You got to be cautious and careful with what you're giving up, to make sure you still have assets to play with. You know what I mean? But I can understand why the Knicks, especially the New York Knicks, are aggressive in trying to move for Collin Sexton. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I'm going to head off tonight. I'm going to give everybody a chance to get some last words in. I'm going to head off for the night. And I'll be back on tomorrow about 3:30, though. I don't know what the topic exactly is going to be, but I'll be back on tomorrow about 3:30. Tony, I'll start with you.
As always, man, salute to you. Salute to the panel. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black, it's time. Keep doing your thing, son.
I appreciate you, man. Uncle Fulio.
Salute, guys. Always good coming on the panel talking basketball with you guys. Can't wait for the draft party. Can't wait for the season to start. I do want to say that, Knicks fans, we got to, actually know what we want. We said we wanted to get a young point guard. We said we wanted to go out and, improve the point guard position. We have a point guard right here, young, ascending, getting better every single season, 22 years old, sitting right here in our face, and we don't want to make the move. So I just think that we got to know what we want, and, that's it.
All right. And I got a call on the line. I'm going to get you in a short second. Nate?
Yeah, like kind of just to piggyback on what Josh said, we can't be timid if we want to be good or be great. The thing is that, like, if we can get a Colin Sexton to upgrade the point guard position, get a Kevin Love to give us good bench points, I mean, you got to make it, because the reality is you make those moves and you figure the rest out later. Okay. That's usually what people do when they get these big teams. They figure it out.
All right.
So we can do it. Right. We got the brains.
Steph?
Yeah, shout out to you, Sam, the panel, the chat. Listen, I trust the front office to not do something reckless. And I don't think they would trade for Kevin Love. I would be shocked if the Knicks trade for Kevin Love. I'd be absolutely shocked. But, I trust the front office. This is actually their first off season. They got a lot of brains in that front office, and let's see what they do. Looking forward to the draft party as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the draft party. And I've never been a huge fan of Colin Sexton. And people earlier in the year had said, "Hey, what do you think about Colin Sexton, this and that?" I was always just kind of like, but when I never looked at his contract. When I looked at his contract, that's when I kind of said, this would make some sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Would really make some sense. And, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense to do it. But let me get to this phone call. Eddie, what's going on with you, my man? How you feeling?
Yo, what's up, Sam, man? How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Good, man. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, cool. So, yeah, man, I'm sorry I chopped in on the last bit of your show, man. I was, I guess, what are you guys talking about? Colin Sexton?
Well, we kind of wrapping up right now, but yeah, we were talking about Colin and, his contract situation.
Yeah. So, man, the way I feel about it is I think we should definitely try to get this guy, man. He's a dog. I think he'll be great for the Garden. I think, you guys have a lot of valid points about him. But I definitely think we should definitely try to get him, man. That's how I feel about everything.
The draft party. Eddie, you're going to be at the draft party, right?
Oh, you damn right, man. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's get
everybody. For one, I've been listening to you guys for a long time, man. I'm a kind of a secret fan for you guys. Mm-hmm. I love everything that you do. I love the panel. I love the chat. You guys got to give thumbs up for this guy. This guy's been doing some work, and I need to see everybody in this chat show up for the AC party, man. The thing's gonna be off the hook. You guys definitely got to show up, man. It's gonna be a fun time. I'm gonna be there. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody that's gonna be there, man. I can't wait. So let's get this going, man.
Yeah, let's get it.
You're damn right, man. So let's go. I hope everyone that's on the panel. I know there's a lot of people that are in different states, but if you guys are over in Jersey, New York, or close, you guys got to show up, man. It's going to be an AC. It's going to be at the flagship. it's going to be off the hook. I mean, that place is beautiful. It's on the water. You got the Jersey Shore right there. You got Atlantic City. You got the casinos. You got everything over there, man. It's going to be, you know, come over here and show up, guys. Let's go.
That's it. If you are a Philly fan, you're just an hour away. I mean, not a Philly fan. If you live in Philly and you're a fan of the Knicks, just an hour away. Make sure you get there. But anyway,
yeah,
Eddie,
right, man. It's close.
Eddie, I'm about to head up out of here. Any last thing you want to say before we get going?
Yo, man, like I said, put those thumbs up for this guy, man. He does a lot of hard work. So let's get those thumbs up. Shout out for the chat. Shout out for the panel. I hope to see everyone there. I'm going to be representing 7 Mile Brewery. You know, flagship. Like I said, man, you guys got to show up, man. It's going to be a good time. I can't wait to meet everybody and chill with you guys. You know, we'll do a couple shots and drinks. Let's get it going.
All right. I appreciate you, man. I will talk to you very soon. Out of here, man.
You got it, brother. All right, man. You guys have a good night.
You too. And, yeah, I'm about to go ahead and head up out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Make sure that I put the link in the chat several times. Make sure you hit that link. I'm going to go finish watching the rest of this basketball game.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I'm going to go finish watching. I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I'm going to go watch it. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Be peaceful. Please make sure you leave all of your comments in the comment section. I'm out.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.